This week on Arizona Illustrated, the Depression Session, raising voices with the Reveille Men's Chorus, a place where art and nature interact, and a look back at University High in 1985 from the vault. Welcome to Arizona Illustrated. I'm Tom McNamara. According to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, an estimated 16 million American adults, almost 7% of the population, had at least one major depressive episode last year. People of all ages and racial, ethnic, and socioeconomic backgrounds experience depression. Recently, a Tucson performance artist and teacher launched a unique way to share her struggles with the disease and provide an opportunity for others to do so as well. The Depression Session.
Hello and welcome to the Depression Session on KTDT LP Tucson, Downtown Radio. Today we have with us in the studio Jennifer Scott, film producer of Open Eyes Productions LLC. Her current film, Eyes Upon Awakening, is about her own suicidal depression. I'm Laura Milkins and I'm an online interactive performance artist and currently a radio host of the Depression Session. Trigger warning, today's episode does discuss suicide, so if that's an issue for you, this might not be the episode for you to watch. The Depression Session is a radio show where guests are invited to come on the show and live on the radio tell the story of their depression. It's as simple as that, and the purpose behind it is destigmatizing depression. First, let's just start with imposter. So this week I've been thinking a lot about feeling like an imposter because my depression's not that bad. And I think a lot of people with depression tell themselves, oh, it's not that bad. I'm just a little off, or, you know, I don't have deep, dark depression, so it's not real. I always start by talking about a specific topic that relates to my experience of depression. Like I tell a little story at the beginning of every show because I feel like asking people to come on to tell their stories, I want to tell my story as well. I don't want to just ask someone else without being willing to share. In 2011, I walked across the country. The day I told my stepdad I was coming home, he died that night. And on my journey home, my dad got very ill, and he did make it through the end of my journey. I was able to go down to Florida and visit him and spend a month with him over Thanksgiving. And then I went back home. And when I went back down to Florida, it was to go to his final days. He just had 3 more days, and that was it. And after that, I grieved really hard for a year. It's so devastating to lose a parent. There's no one in the world who loves you like that. At the end of that, and it was just about a year actually, there came a point where I felt like going out in the world again. But there's this lingering blues. I want to isolate. I don't want to call people back. When someone I love calls me, I don't want to pick up the phone. And I make myself pick up the phone and they say, hey, you want to go for a walk? And I think, no, no. In the worst of my depression, I was at home listening compulsively to podcasts in bed. So I just think this might be the right venue to talk about depression. I can imagine somebody else lying in their bed listening to podcasts and finding this one and feeling comforted. The first thing I did was just post something on Facebook like, hey, I'm going to be doing this show on depression. If you know anybody who's depressed, contact me. And out of the woodwork, I mean, by the first post, I had 11 or 12 people who were like, yes, please. I'd love to tell my story. I think for someone who's in the depths of it, that probably wouldn't be their first impulse to call me or write me an email and say, I'd like to be on your show. But for somebody who has been through it, has found some ways of coping, they really want to give back. That has been my experience with every guest. They want to let people know there is something you can do. There is help out there. You can get through this. I got through this. Here are some things that helped me. Jen, tell us the story of your depression.
So it's not until, really the film realizing this, but, when I started thinking about and reflection, going back to probably, as early as 14, possibly younger, I grew up with a lot of verbal, a lot of mental abuse. There wasn't any scars, so, no one really believed me.
It doesn't matter how many stories you hear, it's just having somebody authentically tell something from their heart is really powerful. And the end result for the feelings of depression is, I don't know that the depression goes away, but it feels lighter. It just feels like I feel more okay with it. I feel more like, okay, depression, I see how you are. It's not just me.
When you're in that blackness, you don't realize you're in that blackness. You don't want to talk to anybody. You want to go anywhere. And so basically what I did was...
This is not about fixing depression. This is not about like finding some fix for me and for everybody and sharing, because most of my projects I do something and then share the results with people, right? This is not like that. This is literally just sharing. To just have someone tell their story and someone out there in radio land or podcast land would hear it and just feel like, yeah, that's my story too.
A lot of people love you and you will be missed, and don't give up, and it's not your fault. Embrace it.
Thank you so much, Jen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Depression Session airs every Sunday morning on Downtown Radio 99.1 FM. For more, visit downtownradio.org. Southern Arizona is made up of many voices. Some are heard more often than others. Our occasional series, Raising Voices, focuses on communities and diversity. In this story, we hear from a group of singers who are changing lives through music.
I know that there was maybe a couple of things that were challenging to people today. Would you do me a favor and through a cleansing process, would you turn to your neighbor and give them a hug? Don't fucking touch me. Don't touch me. Okay, your turn. Okay, that's enough hugging. Enough hugging! Reveille Men's Chorus is a community chorus of gay men, bisexual men, transgender men, straight men. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light? We have doctors, we have attorneys, we have students, we have teachers from ages 20 to ages 70. We run the full gamut of community members. My name is Sean Cullen, and I'm the artistic director of Reveille Men's Chorus. I work really hard to create a balance within the rehearsals so that it is fun and entertaining, but there's also an understanding that people are here to make really great music, and really great music takes a lot of focus and a lot of time and effort. Right. Don't push. If we push, we go brain. Suddenly we're vacuuming the Star Spangled Banner. We don't want to do that. We want to make sure that we're brave. And if we push on that note...
All throughout, I would say, junior high school and high school, I was very conscious never to be myself, to bottle up whatever I was genuinely feeling and putting on the face that wouldn't give people an opportunity to mock, to sort of find a way inside the armor, so to speak. And obviously that's a very hard way to live, to constantly be on guard. And whatever is done by holy is your doing. I am Rob Groves. I'm the president of the board of directors and a singer with Reveille Men's Chorus, and I am a professor of classics at the University of Arizona. I had never found friends and found acceptance as quickly as I did here in Tucson, and I attribute that solely to Reveille. This chorus is a tool for acceptance and for support, that I don't know anything else like.
As recently as 2 years ago, came out as transgender to my parents, and all my students know me as Miss Jai, know me as like this feminine, masculine kind of mix. I've always really enjoyed and felt my most authentic when I have the opportunity to sort of explore that in-between space. The importance of finding solidarity and finding community can be, it can be life-saving.
It depends on where you come from, it depends on where you are, it depends on who you choose to be. I've been out my whole life, and I've never allowed anybody's disapproval of who I am to get in my way. And if people were offended by that, I made it very clear that that wasn't something that I needed to worry about to live my life as a proud man.
This will be a full decade that I have been out, and it has been amazing. It feels like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders as a result. And I can actually be who I am, my true authentic self. It was something that I had been looking for when I moved to Tucson in 2008, and really was having a hard time finding it. It wasn't until I joined Reveille is where I found the community of men that were very supportive and accepted me and loved me for who I was.
Good. But we kind of went like this. Sing. Didn't we? It was kind of like a jazz hand moment there.
For us, music has always been something that binds us together, because as we work on it, it's something personal for us. We put ourselves into it. At the same time, you have a wonderful sense of camaraderie and doing things together, and we all kind of mess it up together, and okay, let's work on that. And it becomes a team effort at that point.
Beautiful. Okay, so that's the focus.
We are married. I'd like to believe that we've advanced as a society where it doesn't matter as much. We're just two men that are married. Obviously, if you do the math there, we're gay, but we don't have to be gay men anymore. We're just a family. We go and sing in a chorus. We go and buy our groceries at Safeway. We look for bargains. We struggle financially from time to time, just like any family does. We care about people that have lost their job or are struggling. It kind of is the really loud, silent answer to the "we're really no different than you are."
Most important part of this text. Life gets better, the future's brighter. Burdens feel much lighter when we sing out. This is the crux of this whole piece. This is what we're talking about right here.
We are bound together in this way that's very intense because we all choose to be here, right? I mean, there's a million other things I could be doing on a Monday night, but I make the decision to come here and be part of this amazing thing with this group of people. And that sort of transcends any other boundaries of age or status or wealth or whatever, that just, all that fades away.
Oh, I love to sing. I absolutely love to sing. Been singing since I was a little boy. I grew up in the Pentecostal church and sung in the choir all throughout my youth.
I sing at work, I sing at home, I sing in the shower, I sing everywhere. And sometimes it's to the point where I don't even recognize I'm doing it.
It's soul affirming. I don't know how else to describe it. It makes my heart smile.
You and me together? You and me together, that's how it always should be. One without the other don't mean nothing to me.
Hear me calling out your name, I feel no shame, I'm in love. Sweet love, don't you ever go away. Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. I mean, I don't know what I would do without music, especially when it's a piece that I really connect to. It feels alive.
Tonight we get to come together and celebrate the diversity within our Tucson community through song.
I love performing in outreaches, and anytime that I can perform not only with my Reveille brothers, but also with our brothers and sisters from Desert Voices is an amazing experience.
I always really enjoy whenever Reveille gets the opportunity to sing with Desert Voices, because as much as I love men's choruses, there's something so beautiful and wonderful about having so many different experiences in one room.
If you'd like to see Reveille Men's Chorus live, they'll be performing in the Big Gay Road Trip at the Temple of Music and Art on May 7th and 8th. Like what you see on Arizona Illustrated? Visit our webpage at azpm.org to watch and share videos from this episode. You'll also find stories from future programs, an easy way to submit your own story idea, an archive of past episodes of Arizona Illustrated, and you'll find everything you need to stay connected with public broadcasting in Southern Arizona. azpm.org. Our next story is about pursuing one's passion, or in this case, two persons' passion, creating a place for interaction between nature and art.
Ted Springer is a Tucson sculptor who discovered Arizona for the first time more than 20 years ago when he moved here from Illinois. He came to do community service in 1989 as a volunteer with the Mennonite Church.
I was a volunteer for 2 years, primarily to help people who owned their homes but couldn't afford to, the repairs. So I worked a lot with elderly and to help them kind of just keep their homes livable.
After leaving Tucson to get his bachelor's degree in Indiana, Springer began to yearn for the desert. He returned to the Southwest to earn his Master's of Fine Arts at the University of Arizona.
I loved seeing the mountains. I loved, I liked Tucson that didn't have grass. As a kid, I hated mowing the grass all the time. And so there's a lot of things. It's like, oh, wow, we don't have to mow these yards. So there was a whole bunch that I was really attracted to the desert, and Tucson.
I mean, you can kind of like make a little, you want to try it? Okay, so just make sure your finger isn't near there. And then if you need help.
Kate Hodges is also an artist in Tucson and a teacher who loves to work with children.
More just to really exaggerate.
Just like Ted Springer, Hodges had moved here from another state so she could earn her MFA at the university. When people started to hear about her love of nature and the arts, they began to ask her,
Have you met Ted Springer? And I'm like, who is this Ted guy? Various people. Because he likes to get out in the land and make art, and he knew lots of different little roads, little side roads that I didn't know of when I first moved here from Vermont.
During one of those outings with a friend, Ted Springer was introduced to this high desert land west of Tucson. 5 acres for sale. Springer wasn't interested, at least initially.
Didn't have any money at the time, did not think I wanted or was in a place to buy property. And so I kind of was drug out here kicking and screaming the whole day from town, not realizing we were gaining elevation the whole way out from town. And then I turned around and looked at the view, and it's like, okay, even though I don't have any money, but I am interested in moving in this direction.
He bought his first plot in 2004, and soon after, he did meet Kate Hodges. They connected, and a decade later, they own 25 acres. It's a property they call the Land with No Name Sanctuary for Homeless Sculpture. Artists who can't store or haven't sold their pieces can keep them in this giant outdoor gallery surrounded by nature's elements.
What'd you see?
Visitors can also come out and enjoy the combination of art and the environment.
It's really rolling hills, and so what happens is it creates little niches for all the pieces to kind of have a space in and of themselves. If you go to like a gallery setting or even a lot of art parks, the pieces all have to compete with each other, and this kind of creates a really nice little environment for the places to have breathing room of their own, and which makes experiencing the pieces a lot more enjoyable oftentimes.
We like to call this piece, it wasn't its original name, but we like to call it the megaphone for expressing your dreams to the world, because that's how people have been using it out here. They come by, take this little device here, hold it up, and yell out their dreams to the world. Bringing the art in this space is a way to engage with the land and bring the art into a space that gives it kind of a new life and a new connection. And there's a dialogue that happens between the artwork and the landscape.
This installation, for example, illustrates three people on a dangerous journey. The Better Border Buddies are heading north in the desert, looking for a brighter future in a place with more opportunities. They travel with no arms.
Jerry, who made these pieces of work, he grew up in this place that was very heated. There was a lot of problems that he witnessed. He had family members who were policemen. He was a policeman once himself, so he dealt with border problems, and at times he just felt like his hands were tied. So he created these figures as sort of a reflection of his frustration in dealing with this heated place where we live, the border.
For Ted Springer and Kate Hodges, their project in the Sonoran Desert may seem like the culmination of a lifetime of art and nature. Each grew up on a farm, learned about the plants and animals, and became intrigued with materials, forms, and shapes. Their goal is to expand educational opportunities and have more people enjoy these surroundings. Springer and Hodges have a designated gathering tree where they share their ideas and dreams.
I think that one thing I would love to see more of is to maybe bring in international artists, people that want to push their artwork in interesting ways, to be in the desert. It's such a magical, unique place. Having come from Vermont, the desert is so unique, it's so different.
For now, they have to keep their day jobs in the city, and they don't live here. The Land with No Name has no electricity or water from utility companies, but the artists do hope to make it more comfortable little by little. Still, they say the commingling of their two worlds more than makes up for the challenges.
Financially, sometimes I don't know how we're going to do this. I probably shouldn't do this or whatever, but every time I go out there, I realize it's really been the best decision I've made.
I feel incredibly blessed to be a part of the desert landscape, to have this land that I can share with Ted and share with people. And it's very much about bringing people to that place. And I feel very blessed to have opportunities to make art with kids. And I'm not even going to complain about being poor because it's so much about being happy with what you choose to do. When I'm out in nature, I feel connected to something bigger than myself.
In recent years, there has been talk of a new location for University High. The nationally ranked college prep school, which serves academically focused and intellectually gifted students, is currently located on the campus of Tucson's Rincon High School. The more things change, the more they stay the same, as we'll see in this story from The Vault.
It's time to start fighting for the survival of the University High School program, which is geared to the gifted student, and time to stop fighting about where that program is located. That is the opinion of one TUSD board member, Tom Castillo. But apparently the battle over where the University High program will be located when school begins next fall is very much a battle at this point. Two different groups of parents have filed complaints with the Office of Civil Rights. One group demanding the school be moved from its current location, the other determined to block the move to Rincon High. Last fall, parents of Tucson High students filed a complaint alleging that the University High program was elitist and that educational inequities existed. Last Friday, parents of minority students at University High filed a complaint alleging that the move east to the Rincon High campus amounts to racial discrimination. Carolyn Hawkins signed that complaint. Her daughter is a freshman at University High.
I'm concerned that Rincon is basically an Anglo school. And with my daughter being transported to Rincon, there's a lot of emotional as well as social adjustments that she will have to make because of that move.
Rhonda Munoz is a freshman at University High. She joins Hawkins in her opposition to the move to Rincon High.
And I'm hoping that they don't move us to Rincon because I feel it would be a very bad move on the minority part and transportation.
When the TUSD board voted to move University High to the Rincon High location last October, the vote was 4-1. Eva Bacall cast the nay vote.
I hope we reconsider, because when the original action was taken, we were not aware of the extent of the costs involved.
But board member Tom Castillo, who was not available for an on-camera interview today, said on the phone he has no second thoughts about his vote approving the move to Rincon High, which he says he realized at the time was going to cost a certain amount of money. Although he says the issue won't be laid to rest soon, he would prefer to see the money spent on the move to Rincon instead of on litigation.
Thank you for joining us here on Arizona Illustrated. Next week, a profile of artist Diana Medeiros. Glass gathered in the desert becomes a source of inspiration. And StoryCorps listens to Tucson. I'm Tom McNamara. See you next week.